Hello and welcome to Catholic News Roundup. I'm Christine Niles. Today's August 15th, 2026. Here are this week's top stories. Catholics are calling for the excommunication of Massachusetts governor. On August 10th, Catholic Governor Maura Healey signed late-term abortion into law. The Catholic bishops had earlier released a statement calling it, quote, a radical measure which is gravely immoral. Healey is also in a same-sex marriage. Catholic Vote has issued a public call for Healey's excommunication, saying that a statement of condemnation is not enough. And the group Catholics for Catholics is also urging Boston's Archbishop to take action. Quote, I implore you, for the sake of her soul, to correct her privately if you've not already done so. Reprehend her publicly and excommunicate her until she publicly repents of this sin that cries out to heaven. Meanwhile, the exact opposite is happening in Missouri, where the state may start charging abortionists with murder. On July 13th, the governor signed the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, which grants the same legal protections to all newborns, including those born after botched abortions. Doctors who fail to give life-giving care to such babies, including transporting them to the hospital if necessary, may be found guilty of homicide. The new law comes as Missouri voters consider another major pro-life measure this November, repealing the amendment that enshrines abortion in the state constitution. And in Canada, a grandmother was killed against her will. This, according to family members who say 83-year-old Brigitte Stegeman was euthanized without consent. Brigitte had spent 2 years living in a care facility in Belleville, Ontario, when she was diagnosed with stomach cancer earlier this year. In May, doctors met to discuss the possibility of euthanizing her, but she objected. Quote, as a devout Christian, she explicitly expressed that medical assistance in dying conflicted with her personal beliefs and faith. While family was on vacation, doctors secretly met twice to discuss assisted suicide. In early July, a doctor questioned Brigitte to determine whether she could give informed consent. Families say that Brigitte was confused, disoriented, and gave wrong answers to basic questions, showing that she was not well enough to make such decisions. The doctor then kicked everyone out of the room, had a private talk with Brigitte, then emerged claiming she had consented to her death. The death took place days later on July 10th over the family's objections. They say the incident represents, quote, a systemic failure driven by clinical arrogance. Canada legalized assisted suicide in 2016, and since then, more than 100,000 people have killed themselves. And in the U.S., the government is exposing horror stories about organ harvesting. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced recently that he's shutting down Network for Hope, a Kentucky organ procurement agency, after proof that it tried to harvest organs from living patients. One woman shared that her brother, T.J. Hoover, had the horrifying experience of being prepped for organ harvesting while he was still alive. Hoover can be heard sobbing in the background during his sister's testimony.
During that honor walk, his eyes were open. He was tracking me, and they told me it was just reflexes. Then during the heart cath, he was thrashing, crying, and grabbing the doctor's hands to stop him. Even after those signs, the organ procurement process continued until the physician refused to proceed. One of the organization's own coordinators called the home office after the doctor refused. She was told, find another surgeon or you'll lose your job because we're finishing this case. My brother almost died that day.
Activists are urging citizens not to list themselves as organ donors on their driver's licenses, considering the abusive practices in the industry. A Christian spa is asking the Supreme Court to protect its faith. Olympus Spa in Washington State is a family-run Korean bathhouse that caters exclusively to women and girls. The Christian owners hold the religious belief that men and women should not be unclothed together unless they're married. A biological man identifying as trans sued the spa for denying him entry. The spa is now petitioning the High Court to protect its First Amendment right to practice its Christian faith. From the lawsuit, quote, "A family of Christian immigrants who fled Korea hoping for greater religious freedom now stand to lose their livelihood or the ability to practice their faith because the state of Washington insists on dictating that males who identify as women be admitted into a female-only nude spa." Turning to New York, Catholic nuns are suing the state over assisted suicide. New York passed a law in February legalizing medical assistance in dying, and 10 Catholic plaintiffs, including the Dominican Sisters of Hawthorne, the Carmelite Sisters for the Aged and Infirm, the Little Sisters of the Poor, and others, sued the state in July. The nuns provide care to terminally ill patients, and the law would force the nuns to accommodate assisted suicide in direct violation of their faith. Says Mother Maria Edward, Superior General of the Dominican Sisters of Hawthorne, quote, "Our calling is to offer comfort, prayer, and loving medical care to those in their final days, not death." A court recently granted the nuns a small victory, making them exempt from the law as long as litigation continues. The parent company of Facebook and Instagram is being fined nearly $1 billion. A New Mexico court ruled this month that Meta must pay $567 million in addition to the $375 million a jury agreed on in March. Meta is accused of using tools that harm children and profiting from that harm. Meta is facing an avalanche of lawsuits from families across the country, accusing the platform of harming their children. This comes 5 years after a Facebook whistleblower leaked thousands of emails showing Facebook executives were aware that its platform caused a marked increase in suicidal thoughts and other mental health issues in teens, but did little to remedy them. That is this week's Catholic News Roundup. Please go to stellamaris.media to sign up to our email list for the latest news and updates. Thank you so much for watching. May God bless your week. I'm Christine Niles.